Welcome everyone to the 2020 American Society of Down.
You know what? Tell you what. Can everyone uh, see me and hear me, Steve? If you can, use the button and on the to raise your hand. It's the on the top, on the right. It's the little hand symbol. Two hands raised. 4, 5, 4, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. Good. All right. You can put your hands down. So apparently all of you can hear me. The second question is, do all of you see the presentation screen? It should show the ASD logo and how to douse for customers. Please raise your hand if you see that. Great. Okay. So let's just go, folks. And thank you all for doing this, and thank you all for putting up with challenging times. I hope all of you are safely sheltered, and your families have all been well. If any of you lost a loved one, my sincere condolences. It certainly has been a challenging year, and I want to see if I can help you going forward in terms of your business model. My name is Steve Lance. I am partnered in a business called PS Insights, and I am now going to switch to screen sharing because this does not let me loading of the presentation does not let me animate. So I apologize. Don't worry. You'll get all of the content plus the leave behinds, and we will get it all fitted in time, because I am from New York and I know how to talk really, really fast. Application window, PowerPoint slide, share the slide presentation. There we go. How to douse for customers. My name's Steve Lance. This is a business called PS Insights. My partners and I do marketing and branding interventions. We come into companies of any size. We work with companies of any size. We're not coming in anymore. Come into companies of any size, and we will refocus, rebrand, re-strategize, or remarket their business in 48 hours or less. Someone once referred to us as consultants who actually work and actually go away. I've got two hands raised. Are there questions, or you didn't click the hand again to put the hand down? I will get to questions before we dive in too deep. Okay. So, I don't want this. I want to be sharing my screen. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the we're going to talk about, of all of the books that I've written, I apologize for the rocky start. All right, of all of the books that I've written, what we're going to talk about today is a book called What Business Are You In?, which is about how to sell what your customers want. And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the fundamentals of marketing. And I want to start by talking about what we're calling the elephant in the room, which is CV19. This is not a session about CV19 and what people are calling the new normal, because the simple fact is there is no new normal. Not yet. Right now, there is a new abnormal. There is, we're telling our customers that they will have to look to pivot their strategies and their positionings at least 3 times over the next 18 months. They have to do something right now. And right now, what you have to do is whatever you are learning about staying safe. And you have to reassure your customers that you will stay safe. I had a roofer come over to give me an estimate the other day. He didn't even attempt to walk up to me. He stood by the truck. He was wearing a mask. He took the mask off, and yelled at me 20 feet, telling me what he was going to do, and he did it all, and we did not get closer than about 10 feet, and he got the job done, and it reassured me that he was thinking about that. But this is not a marketing session about CV19. This is a marketing session about what all of you should have been doing and should be doing all the time to get your position and get your business to a place where it needs to be. So that is the reality of the elephant in the room, and onward and upward. Number one, in case you didn't know this, you're a brand. How you think about yourself. What am I hearing in the background? I'm hearing some static. Annoying as heck. And let's see if we can identify it. Hello? I'm going to mute everyone's mic.
It's done, Steve. I muted them.
Excuse me?
I took care of it.
Good, thank you. All right. Still with the presentation? Full screen.
Please carry on.
Thank you. Thank you. So, as I said, your brand, you're no different than Coca-Cola. You may be smaller than Coca-Cola, but you face the same issues that Coke and every other brand is facing, which is, who are you in the minds of your customers? Actually, a side note on that, I did a workshop at Coca-Cola a couple of years ago, and I was talking about the fact that they needed to be looking at their budget and how they spend the money. And I said to them, well, I gave them an answer given the situation. And then it was wonderful. The CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer of Coca-Cola, came to me at the break and said to me, yeah, there's never enough money to do it all. And all I could do was laugh. I mean, this is a person with a $2.3 billion marketing budget complaining about not having the money to do the kind of marketing they want to do. So you're no different than them. I mean, you may have $2.30 instead of $2.3 billion, but they face the same problems and you face the same problems of every brand. You need to be looking at that and looking at what business are you in. So what I'd like you all to do is take a pad or find something to write down with right now, or type it don't type it on the screen. Well, you can, sure. In the chat, I'd like you to write down, what business are you in? I am write it down. Let's see what we get for answers here. So open your chat and start. Life coach. Interesting. Spiritual teacher, writer. Okay. A retired biologist, like to make a movie. Yes. Fabulous. Anybody else want to take a shot at writing down what business? Okay. So if you thought, well, I'm a dowser, if you wrote, I'm a dowser, and then something after that, the answer is nope. If you wrote, I help people, like you wrote, somebody wrote spiritual teacher, writer, energy healer, life couch, nice. It's not good enough. I find water. Why? I locate lost whatever, including lost souls. I answer questions. So what? I solve mysteries. Please. See, the problem with all those answers is they start with yourself. And the answer, and the real answer to that question is, besides you, who cares what you do? So it's not about what you do, it is about what your clients and customers need from you. And that's how you need to reorient your marketing, your thinking, your branding, your elevator speech. Can I get another muted line again? Z, no, thank you.
What do you
Besides
need?
you, yeah, every person that you have on that is on this call with us right now is a competitor. Now, there's a term, polite term for this. We call ourselves frenemies, which is we go to conferences together, we share information, we belong to communities together, to associations. But the simple fact is that every person on this call, especially these days when people are meeting virtually and remotely with their children, never mind business associates. When people are meeting remotely, the idea of somebody being in the same physical location is unnecessary and is becoming more and more irrelevant. So you need to understand and figure out what distinguishes you from every other person who could do what you do. And that's what we're going to concentrate on. And that's the idea of what business are you in. Now, I'll give you some examples. Once upon a time, there was an online bookseller called Amazon. In the late 90s, when I sold my first book, my publisher and I were talking, and I mentioned a book, and I said, I'll go over to Barnes & Noble. He said, no, go to Amazon.com and order the book. And I said, what the heck is Amazon? He said, oh, it's an online bookseller. You see, Jeff Bezos went in looking for the low-hanging fruit. He went in to start a business in which he was going to offer the lowest prices, but he didn't start with everything. He picked the one thing that he thought he could do competitively and make a profit at and start to build his business model. And none of us, other than Jeff Bezos and probably his inner team, saw the arrow that went from A to Z in his logo, which today kind of matches the smile on the guy's face. I mean, whether you like it or not, he has made a success of what he does. And he's done it he started on one simple object, but he always knew in the back of his mind where he was going. Now, what business is Starbucks in? I put a coffee cup up there to throw you all off, because Starbucks is not in the coffee business. In his autobiography, Howard Schultz, the founder of the man who built Starbucks into the global enterprise, said that what he wants Starbucks to be is the third place. And what he means by the third place is he wants everyone to think of Starbucks as the place he wants to go in order to stop off between the first place and the third place. How do I stop my download? Okay, everybody's caught up to me. On the way home from work, you stop at Starbucks, get something to go. During the day, you want to take a break. Actually, if you understand that, the first thing you understand is all of the things in a Starbucks store that have nothing to do with coffee, like the conference tables and the free Wi-Fi and the lounge chairs. You know, I've been traveling around the country over the years, and I've been to Dunkin' Donuts in many, many, many locations, and I have yet to see a chair in a Dunkin' Donuts, or now it's Dunkin'. Dunkin' is about get your coffee, get your donut, get the heck out of our store. But that's not what Starbucks is all about. And when you understand that, then you understand things like all the food that they offer and the gifts that they offer. And I sat in a Starbucks once from open to close. I did that for all of you. So no need to thank me. It's okay. And it changes every 2.5 hours or so. From opening at 6 a.m. till about 8:30, it's people on their way into work. Want to get my coffee, want to get my breakfast to go, then I'm out of here. At 8:30, from 8:30 to 10, it changes to young moms. They've dropped the kids off at preschool or at school, at elementary school, and they've stopped off to visit their friends and have a quick chat and a cup of coffee before they go off to their exercise class or their yoga class. From 10 to 12, Starbucks becomes a place where small businesses and small companies, single office, home office, called Soho in our business, where they all do business. So you'll see real estate brokers, you'll see financial advisors, you'll see individuals meeting with their clients or working alone, doing what they need to do. 12 o'clock, there's a bit of a lunch push from 12 to 2. People coming in who don't want to eat a big lunch, but that's why you see salads at Starbucks. At 2 o'clock, from 2 to 4, you've got committee meetings. Starbucks in many towns is the new town hall. So groups and associations, nonprofits, PTAs, groups that have committees that have to meet, they all gather. At 3 o'clock or around 4 o'clock, you get after college, after school. At 6 o'clock at night, business at Starbucks falls off a cliff because he has not yet solved why somebody wants the third place in the evening. But he's working on it. Don't think for a minute. That's why they tried beer and wine in about 100 locations. Didn't work for them. But he'll keep figuring it out. He'll keep working on it. So right now, you're a little annoyed because you're saying to yourself, well, those are all big companies. I'm not a big company. What about me? Well, I'm going to put this challenge out to you. Yeah, those are multi-billion-dollar things. I'm not one of those. I want you to think about 5 networks: HGTV, Food Network, DIY, Discovery Science, Motor Trend. And I put up the pictures of just a few of the hosts of all of those networks. Every single host of every single program on every single one of those networks was a small business owner like you. And so the question becomes, what did they do or how did they manage their business so that they have a national or international following? All right. So let's start with this guy. His name is Mike Holmes. Now, there are 413,000 general contractors in the United States and Canada. And the question becomes, why Mike? Why Mike Holmes? Why does he have 3 programs now? He's got his children's programs, and they've got the spin-offs, plus a national monthly magazine, over 2 million followers on Twitter. What does Mike Holmes have that other contractors don't know? I mean, he's cute in a beefy Canadian sort of way, but with all due respect, it's not, let's not go there, Steve. The interesting thing for me is I was watching a program one time, and he turned to the client, and he looked at her and he said, my job is to make your dreams come true. Wow, what a promise. If somebody came up to me and said, my job is to make your dreams come true, I would say to him, great, please come home with me. You're a keeper. I mean, hello, sports fans. He didn't say my job's to repair your roof. My job's to fix your toilet. He understands that a person's home is their lifelong dream. It's the home ownership that they want it to be perfect. They want it to be everything that they could have it be. And that's why a guy like Mike Holmes, and he got spotted at a national convention, and he gets spotted at national conventions because of his approach to business, because he understands what it is that he really does for a living. Then we could take these guys. This is a show on TLC, which is called American Pickers. And these 2 guys, are drive around the country in a big van, and what they do is they're junk men. They're the same thing my great grandfather was in Russia. He went around with a horse and a cart picking up stuff that got left on the street. These guys rummage in garages and barns. Why them? They're not the only pickers in America. They're not only the only. I mean, every person at a flea market is really a picker. So why are these guys so successful? Why are they known internationally? And they have 2 stores in Iowa and Memphis. And again, it's they understand the business that they're in. Because the short guy, I think his name is Mike. I think that's Mike and Frank. Mike was handing a flyer to someone, and he says, "We buy antiques," and immediately Frank corrected him and said, "No, no, no. We buy junk. We sell antiques." He understands what business they're in. He's in the business of transforming things from ordinary to extraordinary. And it's in the presentation, and it's in the way that they choose the things that they're going to buy. I mean, you look at his show, you watch the show, they walk into the junkyard. They don't just buy everything. They're very selective about what they choose. I love this one. This is a Dunkin' Donuts. This one has tables and chairs. One of the few in the country that does. This is a Dunkin' Donuts, and in their window, they have a big neon sign that says, "We are kosher." They have a picture of a dark roast. They have a picture of a latte, and they have a sign that says free Wi-Fi. And at first you go, huh? And then I looked around and I burst out laughing because they were directly across the street from the Shiva University dormitory in New York City. They understood their target audience. Their target audience were students who were studying to become rabbis or religiously Orthodox Jews who were attending college. So they understood what business he was in. And to their credit, need a mic muted. See, can you mute your? Oh, you are muted. Oh, who's unmuted? Again, sorry. We need what he had the latitude as a independent owner, store owner, to do this kind of marketing, which Dunkin' would never do. This is not Dunkin's idea. This is the owner's idea because he looked around and saw who his customers were. And all he had to do, he didn't have to walk outside the door. All he had to do was look at who was walking into his shop. And I'm sure it started with people, with these kids with these funny things on their heads. I can say funny because I'm Jewish. Anyhow, with these yarmulkes on their heads, and asked him, "Are you kosher?" And he may not have even known what that meant at first. But he was smart enough as a business person to figure it out and jump on it. So I've given you examples of, I gave you a couple of examples of companies that are already individuals who've already got their national television show, and one guy who's working locally. And I want to talk about another business that's right in between. This is a store called Mitchell's of Westport. This is in Westport, Connecticut. Some of you may know about Mitchell's. Mitchell's is the most expensive clothing store in Fairfield County, which is saying a lot because Fairfield County, Connecticut is one of the richest counties in the country. It includes Greenwich, Connecticut, and Westport, and Stamford, Darien. I mean, it is absolutely a bastion of one percenters. And in 2008, when companies, and especially large, very expensive companies, were going out of business, they became the owner of all their competitors in the market. They on the strength of what they do for a living. Because the Mitchell family, and there's a picture of the second and a few of the cousins, and second and third generation who now run the store. Those are the 7 co-owners, and in addition to them, they have employees. They know that their business in their market is service, service, service. So Jack Mitchell, third from the right, balding guy, and you can see I can say balding because I'm one myself. Balding guy wrote this book, Hug Your Customers. And he believes it. He said to me one time that he spends his days looking at the Excel spreadsheets of the sales figures of his top 1,000 customers. I mean, I suspect many of you could not tell me the dollar figures of your top 10 customers, never mind having 1,000 that he studies. And he uses it to understand trends, to understand style trends. Is something changing? Are people buying more shoes? He's looking at what it is his customers want. And the other thing Mitchell's does is there isn't an event or a charity or something going on in their communities. In Westport, now they're in Greenwich, now they're in Fairfield and Darien. They own their equivalent stores in those other three markets. There isn't an event that doesn't go by where Mitchell's doesn't contribute in some way. So when the cheerleaders need a fundraiser, a car wash fundraiser, they can count on Mitchell's parking lot. When there is a benefit, Mitchell's will be there in the silent auction. When during Christmas and Easter and Passover, when the local churches and synagogues are filled to capacity, they offer their parking lot as an overflow lot to get people to the events. They are completely committed to service, service, service. Now, I first moved up there to raise my kids, and I drove past that store, and I was in my 40s, and I said, never. That's not who I am. I would never go in there. And I saw a sign that said sale, and I went in one day, and a salesperson came up, and he introduced himself, and he asked me my name, and I reluctantly said Steve. And he said, Steve, let me show you around. And I said, no, I'm just looking. He said, fine, looking is great. Let me help you. Let me just point some things out if you'd like. And I reluctantly let him go around with me. 2 months later, I went back into the store to look for a specific item. That salesperson came up to me and said, hi, Steve. That's the level of attention to detail and commitment that Mitchell's has made. And that has made them successful at surviving everything from the banking collapse, from the real estate collapse of 2008 to CV19. They are always finding ways to serve their community. You could do the unexpected. This young lady is a pet psychic. She talks to and she hears animals talk. Any of you who are rolling your eyes, I am not going to make an editorial comment at this point. I will say, however, this is my sister-in-law, and this is what she does. And she got interviewed on Reddit and went away on a vacation. And she came back from the vacation. She went, oh my God, Paul, that's my brother, Paul, we've been hacked. And he said, what do you mean? She said, I have 180 inbound emails that I don't understand. And he looked, he said, no, we haven't been hacked. Those are messages that were forwarded to you from Reddit. And this was 4 years ago. And as of this moment, she is, as of March, it went up on March 1st, 2016. This video of Ellen Lance went up on YouTube. She's had to date, and when I put this together last week, 3.3 million views, 4.6 thousand saves, and 83,000 people forwarded this video to somebody else. Now, she called me the first Friday that the video had started to go viral. And she said to me, Steve, people are saying terrible things about me. Absolutely terrible things. I said, Ellen, what's your calendar look like? She said, my calendar is booked up through the end of the year. I said, Ellen, what do you care what people are saying? Why are you reading that garbage? You know, you're not.
Has joined.
You just need to move on. And she stopped reading them, and she's been doing what she does for a living, continues to do it. She's in Los Angeles. Any of you who are thinking to yourself, ooh, I'd like to maybe reach out to her, she will work with video, and she will work with photographs of your pet as well. So that's my commercial for Ellen. So now my question to you is, do you want to change the answer you gave to me? And I think some of you are probably thinking to yourself, just give me a wave of your hand if you're planning sometime in the next whatever to rethink the answer to the question of what business are you in. Give me a wave so I know that I haven't lost every person in the room. Okay, 2 people, 3 people, 4. Great, 4 people get it. All right, you can put them down, hands down. I'm going to give you the tools that you need to start to get to this place, the place that Mike Holmes, the place that American Pickers, the place that Ellen, where all of these people are. I'm going to give you the tools that you need to get there. So there are 10 questions that everyone in marketing asks themselves as this is from the CMO of Coca-Cola to Procter & Gamble. So these are the questions that you need to be asking and answering for yourself. And this is in a leave behind that I don't know if you've been handed already, but you'll be getting this as a PDF of the content of this workshop and a little checklist for yourself. So if you want to advance the other slide, let me just click over here. I am now here. And questions, and the next page, this is going to come up one at a time. I don't want to overwhelm you all at once. And those questions are, number 1, who are my customers? And if your answer is everyone, there's an old saying in our business, if you try to be everything to everyone, you'll be nothing to no one. You need to clearly identify who your customers are. Age, demographics, homeowner status, marital status, whatever you need. Look for the commonalities. You can do as much research in your field and in your universe as Procter & Gamble and Colgate-Palmolive and all the top marketers do. Look at your existing customer database. Figure out who your customers are and write it down. Number 2, what do you do best? Not what do you want to do, what is it that you do best? And again, let your customers tell you. What is it that they're coming for? Now, if they're coming for something different than what you think is the best thing you have to offer, you have a tough decision to make. You want to keep working with people who are coming to you for the thing they want? Or do you want to keep banging your head against the wall and try to get them to come for the thing that you think you want to do or the thing that you can do best? Number 3, which is a corollary of that, what do they want from me? It's another way to get at the second question. What is it that I have to offer that these people, those customers want? How do I say that? How do I tell them that? And one of the things that I say to people is, I say, what do you do? I keep pushing them. I say, what do you do for a living? And they say, I said, no, don't start with I. What is it that you offer of it? And I keep pushing them, and finally they'll say something absolutely insightful and brilliant about what they do. Because nobody knows their business better than they do. This is why my partners and I can do these interventions in 2 days. Because we don't tell our clients what they should be doing. We make our clients tell us what they haven't been telling themselves. And they'll say it. Yes?
You have about 10 minutes.
Yes. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the heads up. What's my one key message? 1, the most dangerous thing you can say to somebody is, in an elevator pitch or anything else, is the word and. As in, I blah, 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 and. People will remember the first half of that or the second half, but not both. Then you got to ask yourself, where will I find these people? virtually, digitally, socially, in person, at conferences? Where are my customers hanging out? How much am I willing to spend? You know, I'm sorry, I hate to break the news to you. Marketing was not invented by marketers. In fact, and the small business, this SBA recommends, and I know you're all going to go into sticker shock, that small businesses, single office, home office, spend 8% of their gross revenue on marketing and branding. So if you're making $50,000 a year, you should be spending $4,000 a year, 8 times, but yeah, $4,000 a year on marketing and branding. The first 2 years, you'll hate it and you'll hate me. And then when the cash starts coming in, and instead of making 30, you're making 50, and then you're making 60, you'll thank me. How do I activate my plan? Time is money. And if you can't spend money, you're going to have to put in the time. And if you're not willing to put in the time, then you're not going to get where you need to go. Then you're going to have to hire someone. So you have to think through. It's not enough to say, all right, I'm going to spend $2,000 on social media. Who's going to write it for you? Are you going to write your social media? Is it a job you love? Is it a job you hate? There are ways to get it under control, but you have to ask yourself, how much are you willing to spend? How does it get activated? How do I measure the results? What is it that's going to tell me whether what I'm doing is working? I mean, number one is, are there sales coming in, new business coming in? There are other ways. How many people are clicking through from your social media or your Twitter feed or your blog to your web page? And finally, ask yourself as you're going along, what's going to happen? How will I know if this works? Or what am I going to do if it doesn't work? This is not a one-time set it and forget it. This is a living plan that you have to work on, and you have to answer these 10 questions every 3 months. You've got to do it. You got to get to the heart of the matter. There's 3 things to talk about: features, advantages, and benefits. And what we all do is we start with the features. We say, I'm a great dowser. I do this. I come in with, I have crystals, da, 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 da. Then perhaps you talk about your advantages. You say, the advantage over all of my competitors is blah, 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 blah. And we leave it to our customers to figure out what the hell the benefits are. But the sale is always made the other way. If you say to a client, I'm going to find water on your desert property in 1 hour, you've got their attention. I know that, I'm making that up, okay? But the sale is always made from the point of view of the customer. So what you're going to do at some point after this conference, you're going to take a legal pad, although I've put it in the PDF that just got downloaded to you. You're going to draw 3 columns. The first column is features. The second column is advantages, which is what have you got over the competition. And the third thing is what's the benefit to the customer. So the first feature might be, I have a titanium dowsing rod, wand, or whatever you call it. Now, is that an advantage over your competitors? And maybe it isn't. Maybe they have it also. Maybe you have to write down same as competition. But you just keep writing as many features as you can, and then the advantage of each feature. And then you ask yourself, what is the benefit to my customers in all of the features that I have just outlined, and the advantages? And you'll probably only get 2 or 3 answers to that question. That's where you start. You start from the benefit to your customer, and you start with your selling message. You start by explaining to them what the benefit is to them and what they're doing. My suggestion to you is, don't do this by yourself. Even biggest corporations in the world have boards of directors. Doesn't matter how powerful, how rich, how smart you are, you need a brain trust. It might be your spouse, it might be your children, it might be your best friends, it might be your best customer or 2. We call our brain trust together twice a year. We bring them in over lunch hour for 90 minutes. We have 4 senior advisors and a very loyal client of ours and a couple of people from outside areas and businesses that we don't normally work with. And we buy them all a free lunch and we work them mercilessly to answer those questions. So in that PDF that I sent you, you'll find those 10 questions. And what I suggest to you is that instead of just trying to answer them yourself, hand those questions out, make a copy or email it, don't kill a tree. Email it to the people that you want on your advisory board and have them fill it out too. Then get everybody together and discuss the agreements and the differences in the agreements that you have on what that list is. And if you do that, you will start to become, I expect all of you, I'd like to see all of you on DIY Network next year. And I think you can do it. So I can give you the tools, the tips, the techniques. What I can't give you is the time. And as I said before in the middle of the presentation, time is money. You're going to have to work this. When you come out of this conference, one of the things, not just my talk, but every single session that you attend, allow yourself all of next week to absorb everything that you've heard and start to figure out how you're going to put the pieces together. And that, I forgot to put my sales pitch in. Anyhow, you're welcome to fill out the form. I've put my contact information in that PDF and the contact information of our social media advisor. And by all means, I invite you to reach out to us. We don't think there's such a thing as a small client. The only question is, what's the budget? And we've had clients that, don't spend much, but we do the best job that we can for them. But I don't want to do a sales pitch. I want to use this time. Do I have time to answer some questions?
You only have 2 minutes, but I did put the branding inventory PDF in the chat for people to download.
Okay. Do you know if they have?
But they can if you wanted to meet them sometime in the lounge. If some group of you had more questions.
All right, I'll take the two. Nancy, you have a question?
Z, the talk is over at 12:15.
Oh, 12:15? Oh, sorry.
Oh, is that your question or is
You
that
got more time? Sorry.
Hey, do you have a question?
About 16 minutes.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Steve, you have a couple of people with raised hands.
I'm unmuting them. Patricia McPartland, you are unmuted.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
No, I really don't. It's a wonderful presentation and I appreciate it.
Folks, I did not pay her. I promise you. This is an unsolicited testimonial.
No, I was in marketing for years ago, and this was such a great, wonderful, concise, and you could really wrap your hands around it. And what happened to me is I'm a retired educator, and I just recently retired, and I want to use my skills into a new venture, and I'm really into healing and coaching and that. And I'm just kind of exploring how can I pull it together, being an health educator, interested in coaching.
Great,
And,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Nancy, did you have a question?
Am I open? I just
You
love
are on
everything.
you are live, yes.
I just love everything you've said. I've heard all these marketing techniques from a lot of different sources, and it's just so common sense to put the customer first, to love and hug the customer, to remember their name, to remember their children's names, to remember where they went to college, what their career is. I cannot thank you enough for reminding me people come first.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, an unsolicited testimonial. And Nancy, and this is true for everybody. I don't think there's any great mystery to marketing and messaging. And one of the things that we believe in is simplify, 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 simplify. And it's just really important that you know that, and the slide about all of the hosts of all of these television networks, you know, the way you need to start thinking about yourself and your business is ask yourself, why not me? Why don't I have a show on DIY Network or HGTV? And what would I have to do to have that show? And it might be you have to put, you know, look at your packaging, meaning how do you dress? How do you talk? How do you present yourself? Who do you present yourself to? Are you visible? Visible socially in social media? Are you visible at conferences? You know, there are people who could say, I've won 3 Emmy Awards. I've won every award that there is in this business. I created The More You Know for NBC as well as Shark Week for the Discovery Channel. And I have never turned down a convention. There is no way to know who is going to be sitting in the room listening to you saying, wow, these people have to come and work with us. So you just have to make yourself visible in every area. Any more questions, since I now have 10 more found minutes? Ooh.
There's a question in the chat section, Steve. Can you give an example of a client who's into dowsing healing and how that client can benefit from working with you?
Keep it simple, sweetheart. You got it. Absolutely. KISS, that is one of the acronyms. Where is the question? Can you give an example of a client who is into dowsing and how client benefits from working with you? Well, that's your work. Margarita, can you, do you have a mic? Are you able to talk? No? Yes? Maybe? No. You want to?
Margarita tends to have issues with her microphone.
Okay. I don't, all right, I'll give an example. I'll give you a tough one. My brother is a palm reader, and he read somebody's palm, and he told me this story. He read somebody's palm, and didn't go into it in too much depth. And the person called him in a panic about a month later and said that she had been diagnosed with stage 0 breast cancer. And did he see that in her palm, and is that why he stopped reading? Now, he assured her and reassured her that even though he had seen it, he knew she was going to be fine. He just didn't want to put the thought in her head that it was alarming her. But she didn't come to him say, how do you palm read? How do I know I'm going to get there? Nobody ever comes to somebody and says, how do you do? What they come for is what they need to know. I need you to sit down. Margarita, I want you to sit down with everybody that you have and ask yourself, what is it that got them interested? So if you don't have clients yet, you're thinking about doing this, you're not sure how to get started about this, but I'm sure you've talked to, you've tried the idea out on other people. And putting aside their opinion, what was their reaction as to the benefit that you could provide people? That's where the other frenemies that are listening in with you, that is you. A time frame. Well, creating your vision of success at the same time. Creating your vision of success is about you've got to be realistic. And I don't know what realistic will be for you, because I don't know is that you believe you have for time and money. And I'm not hedging be a little clearer about it. We had a client that we were working with told us that the chief marketing officer said this plan for the following year, and the company had given her a year, and her goal was a 4. I brought everybody together, not just her, but we had and this officer doesn't talk to the CEO. They're all siloed is the term. They all work in their little silos. Explain to me the math of reducing your marketing budget by 10%. That you've got to be realistic. If you honestly hate then it's going to take you longer. If you're uncomfortable being out there, and then if you analyze all of the hosts of all of those TV shows, I think the thing and HGTV, these are people who are planning to. If you can't be that, then don't try to be that, and figure out and of course now the global outreach of this what's it called, wide world interweb, have competitors around the world, you have customers around the world. There are whatever it is that you are selling, there are enough people out there who want it in the way that I should in my life. I like to think they're mostly because they're friends. A throat and shake your brains. They're the ones who listen quietly and often. Every therapist that I've ever known, personally or professionally, I believe that the same is true for you too. That's why I gave each of you a Zoom call together. At least ask them if they'll give a half an hour or an hour. In that leave behind. How to get a sense of how the people. I guess I'm going to mosey over to the chat room. No, I don't. Yeah, I'll go over to the chat room. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Hang on.